to Eclipse? All right, a few, okay, I recognize some of the faces, of course. Okay, excellent. So with me today is Olivier. Maybe I'll give you Olivier Provost is a local celebrity, does local education, and he's a committer on a couple of different projects, including the E4 Tools project and the Eclipse Platform UI project. Again, just since we're recording, my name is Wayne Beaton. I'm with the Eclipse Foundation. I make things go. I'm going to talk fairly quickly. The most interesting thing I think about this talk is the demonstration. So I have about 10 minutes to get through a handful of slides, and Olivier will do the more interesting part, telling you about, showing you actually how we would go about finding and fixing a bug. Much of this will be fairly high level, and more of an invitation to go and find out more details about certain things, because in 35 minutes there's really only so much that we can do other than encourage you to get involved. A little bit like a first aid course in this regard, right? First aid courses don't really teach you to do anything. They just encourage you to get involved. Anyway, so as a contributor to a project, just some terminology. A contributor would open bugs, would perhaps submit patches, test cases, maybe comment on bugs, respond to questions on news groups or forums, pardon me. All sorts of different ways to contribute to Eclipse projects and to the Eclipse communities. A committer is someone who has some special magical powers. They do everything that a contributor would do with the added ability to actually commit code into software repositories at Eclipse. We have, all of our committers have uniform access to project resources. So if you're a committer on a project, you can push to our Git repos, you can put things onto the download servers, access build servers, and whatnot. Being a committer is a fairly powerful position, I guess, in the open source project. So project teams have varying requirements for becoming a committer. Some projects set a bar fairly high because they want to make sure that the people who become committers are dedicated to the cause and aren't going to cause harm. Something that we've seen more recently, we've made it much easier to be a contributor. And actually, the number of committers that are active is slowly decreasing, but the number of people who are just showing up and giving contributions is rapidly increasing. So we're seeing an interesting change at Eclipse where we really just don't need as many committers anymore. That's not to say that it's not a valuable position, and I'd love for everybody here to continue to pursue that position if that's something you're interested in. But in addition to having those special magical powers to actually commit to resources, committers have responsibilities to actually interact with the community and become part of the community and encourage others to contribute. We use an expression called kill with kindness. We want, if somebody shows up to your project with a contribution, we encourage committers to overwhelm that individual with assistance. As much as is possible. Some of our committers are far better at this than others. But the idea is if you show up with a contribution, you should be getting help with your contribution. And if you're not, I'm Wayne at eclipse.org. Contact me and I'll see what I can do to help. It's important to, if you're interested in contributing to Eclipse, it's important to understand how the Eclipse IDE is structured. The Eclipse IDE is actually the combination of a whole bunch of different projects. This is kind of a conceptual view of what goes into the Eclipse IDE for Java developers, and you'll see that a great deal of code comes from Platform. The Java support comes from the JDT project. The ALM support comes from the Myelin project. Git support through eGit. So we have all these different projects that contribute code to the IDE. And if you want to contribute to a particular functional area, figuring out the project that they're part of is an important thing. It's sort of it's difficult it's sometimes difficult to figure out who to connect with. The JDT team takes a great deal of input from everybody, and they get a lot of bug reports for Git, and they'll triage it and move it over to the eGit project for you generally. But if you can kind of get it close to right the first time, that lets the JDT team focus on building great Java tools. But anyway, figuring out this is relatively hard, and if you have questions, there's forums. The newcomer forum is a great place to go and ask questions about where you should contribute a patch or how you get it code. But certainly figuring out the project that contributes a certain bit of functionality is one of the first steps to figuring out where their code is and getting that code and making some changes. As a contributor, we require that you sign a contributor license agreement. The contributor license agreement effectively says that you are making contributions legally. Your organization accepts that you're doing this. You are contributing the code under the project license. You have the rights to do it. There's the four questions that you're basically answering with the committer license agreement. And we require that everybody who contributes code sign one of these before our Git servers will accept your patch. Garrett will reject a patch if you don't have one of these. Our GitHub-based projects will reject your commit if you don't have one of these CLAs signed. I encourage you to read the full document. If you go to eclipse.org/legal/cla.php, that will take you to the basic information and help you sign a CLA. Configuring your development environment can actually be a pretty interesting challenge. If you're doing platformy things, the base platform, the windowing system, the menu system, toolbars, that kind of neat stuff. The platform project provides a how to set up your environment section in their how to contribute document. I encourage you to take a look at that. Finding the right set of Git repositories can be a challenge. Platform gives some pretty good help on that. I think the JDT team does a pretty good job. Most projects, if you go to their project webpage, will have a how to contribute link. So that will help you find what you need and get started with a build. There's also something relative to this. I keep thinking of this as new, but it's been around for a little while now. The Oomph project has, the Eclipse installer has this functionality where you can actually realize a development environment for developing Git projects with the code for the eGit project. Probably not my first choice for platform development, but you can use Oomph to build an environment for that as well. We keep saying Oomph, but it's really the Eclipse installer. You put the Eclipse installer into advanced mode. It has this neat feature where it will configure a complete development environment for submitting patches. How do you find where something is in the code? There's a bunch of tools for that. The plugin spy, Shift Alt F1 will tell you information about the current view. So you say, hey, if you're a view and you want to make a patch to one of the views in Eclipse, bring that view to the front, make that the focus. Hits Shift Alt F1 and the plugin spy will open up with information, including links that will take you to the implementations of the different things. Now, the plugin spy is something you would need to get the Eclipse IDE for committers or download the SDK to have access to this. Both of those downloads include all of the source code. You can't actually edit it though. They can't edit the source code. You actually have to pull the source code from the Git repositories, and I'll talk about that in a second. How am I doing for time? We're good? You don't look panicky yet. Okay, good. The menu spy is interesting too. If you're curious about how a menu is implemented, maybe there's some functionality in there that you want to explore or patch. If you hit Shift Alt F2, it puts the cursor into a special mode. When you select a menu entry, a window very similar to this will pop up and tell you about that menu entry. How is that menu implemented? And you click on it, take you right to the code. It's very handy. Helps you find your entry point into the code. Now, if you have if you've encountered problems or something, your stack trace and your metadata /log file may have some pointers to code. The stack traces have line numbers on them, so they'll take you directly that's enough information to go and find very often a file, at least a source of a problem. And then, of course, Bugzilla. Most of our projects use Bugzilla to track their issues. If you go to Bugzilla and look for Open Help Wanted or Bug Day bugs, those are usually relatively easy bugs to work on. Funny story, though, of course, for this, in preparation for this talk, we usually go and pick a bug and fix it live. We had a heck of a time this time. A lot of these easier bugs have actually been picked up and fixed. I guess we've been successful the last few years with this talk. And of course, with our Neon release coming up, a lot of the kind of the low-hanging fruit, it's all been picked up. So we really stretched to find something to fix today. But anyway, so those are generally good ways to find stuff to do. If you are running you're running live and an error occurs, it will appear in the error log. If you open under Window menu, Show View Error Log, if you double click on one of these entries, it'll show you a stack trace. You can find out where in your code that error. So usually what I do is I walk back from the top until I find something that's an org.eclipse, and that's usually a good starting point. Open up that code and put in a breakpoint. Or you can run it in the debugger. If you run your code in the debugger and that error occurs, it will show up in the console and with actually handy clickable links to the implementation. Take you directly to the implementation of the code that caused that exception to occur. Those are sort of some tricks, and Olivier will show you some things live in terms of how we actually go about finding it. Very often just sort of finding that entry point can be a little bit time consuming. If you're having real trouble, asking a question on the bug, hey, if you found a bug that matches the symptoms of what you're seeing, add a comment on the bug. Hey, I'm interested in helping with this. Can you give me some help finding the entry point? And somebody more familiar with the code may be able to give you a pointer. Ultimately, if you're really struggling, eclipse.org/forums, there's a newcomer forum there where a bunch of people monitor that for all sorts of questions. So that'd be a great question, a great place to put a question of how do I get started? Get the code if from the SDK or from the Eclipse IDE for committers. You'll have a list that you'll have a plugin view in the plugin perspective. If you right button click on a plugin, one of the options is to import it as a project from a repository. So many of our plugins actually have a link to the repository that contains the source code for the plugin. So this will help you actually connect through Git to get the actual source code for it in a form that you can actually edit. It'll pull it into the workspace as a project, and then you can edit it. With Platform, this is a little bit more challenging. You need to set up a target environment and some other things. Again, Olivier will talk about this in a few minutes. Very often, in the case of Platform, I find it's generally easier just to pull the Git repository and pull in most of the projects. Yeah. Some important terms. Target platform. The target platform is the thing that Eclipse builds against. So you have a running platform. You have a running Eclipse, which basically contains all of the plugins. You can actually have a target platform, which is the running instance of Eclipse. Right, so you can make Eclipse build against itself, which is cool until your version of Eclipse gets a little bit old. Right, as new functionality is added into the Git repositories, it starts depending on functionality that may not be in your actual development environment. So what you have to do every once in a while is pull in a new version of the target platform, pull in the latest version, so maybe one of the latest integration builds of Eclipse, and build against that. So that's the target platform. So you have Eclipse running. You can build Eclipse against itself, or you can build it against another instance of Eclipse. That other instance of Eclipse is your target platform. API baseline is every version of Eclipse has certain APIs that it provides. You can specify which version of Eclipse you're going to build against, and the API compatibility analysis will make sure that you are not violating any APIs. So these are things that you need to configure as you're doing development. And again, I think Olivier is going to talk a little bit about that. Gerrit Code Review. A lot of our projects, including Eclipse Platform, use Gerrit Code Review. This allows you to push anything up to our servers and makes it very easy for our project teams to pull in your patch and take a look at it. And our build server actually will pull things out of Garrett and test them. It's actually very cool. I won't talk too much about it, but you would have to go to the git.eclipse.org/r and register for Garrett there to use Garrett. Git records, the commit records. We require that you use your actual name, your actual email address. This is the same email address you use when you get your CLA, Contributor License Agreement. They need to match. We also require that you have a signed off by. That is, the email address here has to match this email address, has to match the CLA. If you have multiple authors working with you, you can also put also by statements in there. Different project teams have requirements for the structure of the comment. Platform requires that you take basically the title of the bug that you're fixing, you're patching, I certainly recommend that you use put a meaningful comment into your Git commit. And again, some project teams will actually reject a commit if the comment's not right. I think that's cool. That's important. It's important to have that kind of record keeping. So let's get started. We'll switch. Okay. You're on. Oh, here, take this. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so to help you to start to commit, we prepared a document. It's uploaded on the website of this talk. If you go to the description of the talk, we uploaded the contribution use cases. This is just a document to summarize what you should do and the use cases you will see when you commit on Eclipse. Of course, there are a lot of committers, so when you commit something, maybe you are late against the master branch, so you must sometime rebase your code. So this document is available in, I think I've got it, no, I didn't open it, but I will just open it now. And there are very easy use cases with how to manage it. So maybe there are 8 or 10 use cases. It's not very. So there is one by page. So how to configure Garrett, how to work on a bug, how to commit. I will not enter in details. If you are interested, you can start with this document that can help you. Of course, you can also go on the wiki with the how to contribute page. That can be also a good way to start. So, as Wayne said before, you need to have an Eclipse to develop, of course, and you have to set your target platform. So usually we use the latest version of Eclipse. So this one is the Eclipse Neon RC4A. This is the latest one. And you must configure your target platform in your Eclipse. So usually this is the same than the running platform. For this example, I just created a new target platform for this one, but actually the same than the Eclipse tooling now, because it has been updated yesterday. And as Wayne said, you must change the API baseline, or you will have an error when you upload the projects, and you must put it on the same, usually the same version of Eclipse if we are using this one. But if you are, for instance, fixing a bug on Neon in 2 months, maybe you should use another version. Sometimes I change the APIs, and you can have problems if you don't fix this. So there is an error if you don't fix it in Eclipse. Then you have to select a project and to select a bug. So I will show you 2 examples. I think I will have enough time. The first one, we try to find a bug and to fix it directly during this talk, but it was a little bit difficult to find something with not too much code. So I will just take this bug as an entry point to show you how to manage the tooling. So this bug is about importing a file, and when you import a file, and if the file is read-only, you get an exception, which is not very user-friendly. The text is not very interesting it's not very clear. So to do that, first of all, we must find where is the code and where we should fix this bug. So this is in the import file dialog. So you can open the file open the wizard. So this is the wizard file system wizard. And actually, if I use, if I enter the temp directory, for instance, I've got a list of files, and the total file, total is a common French name for files, for stupid files. And if I open, I just try to import this file in a project, I will get some exception. But anyway, we don't care about the exception. We want to fix the bug in this window. So how can I find the code of this? I will use the Alt-Shift F1. Alt-Shift F1 plugin spy, which will give me the name of the class. Where is the code? So this code is actually the wizard file system resource import page. And this page is created in this wizard. So the file system import wizard. So I can click on it. And maybe I should tell you something else. And there was something important also. There was the org Eclipse UI IDE plugin ID. So this is the ID of the plugin where the code stands. So you must know where is the code in which project, in which plugin, and in which project. So I just uploaded this code in my Eclipse. So this is this code is in this plugin org Eclipse UI IDE. To find this code, I went on the GitHub, the Git repository of Eclipse. So sometimes it's difficult to find, but usually when you have a bug in UI, it's in platform UI. So you just search in the git.eclipse.org website, you search for platform UI, you've got the project here. And if you click on it, you have the different commits on the project, and you have the clone commands to clone the project locally with the Git. There is also a page to find information about the project. So this is more, we say, global page about the project, where you can get information, how to contribute, who is involved, developer resources, how you should contribute, and so on. So this is an entry point. So you just load your project in your Eclipse, and then you can open the code. So that was the file system import wizard. And you can set a breakpoint, and you can start to find how it works. So of course you must dive in the code. I will not do it now because there is a lot of code. Yes, question?
Possible to ask, because you said the plugin is UI.id, so how do you know that UI.id is in platform UI?
This is, yes. I don't know if there was a search. I know it because I know it. But is there a way to find? That's a good question, because
Find out which repository it's in?
no, find the good project where this plugin stands. Well, for instance, the UI IDE plugin. That's difficult to know. Usually, if you have a bug in G,
Looking for this often.
So
that's
yeah, that's.
So usually the third segment
Yeah,
is
it's the project name, yeah.
Right, so org.eclipse.egit.
Yeah. For instance, if
so egit there, org.eclipse.m2e is the Maven project.
I use this one, I want to if I want to fix this preference page on JDT, it's written org Eclipse JDT UI, so it's JDT project. So you have to try to find.
Yeah, the other one was not platform written in it.
Yes, this one not, because the platform is a very huge project with a lot of different plugins. So you can try to find it in platform.
So if you click on the plugin ID though, it will open up the plugin information, and one of the things in there should be where the source is, right? If you look at
dependency, no, in
it'd certainly be in the manifest.
Yeah, in the manifest, yes, maybe, yes, but this one is. This is a big one because there is signature. Anyway, so. We assume you have found the project, but if you don't know, you can usually you can ask the question in the bug. Also, I don't know where's it, but Alt-Shift F1 is a good first entry point to find the way. And then you must, of course, launch another Eclipse to test your example. So you can So to do that, you must create another launch configuration with all the plugins. And of course, you will include the plugin, the Eclipse UI IDE plugin, which is in your workspace. It will override the target platform plugin. And when you launch it, you can access to the debugger and check your code. So this is a way to test. So if I open the import file wizard dialog, so it asks me, would you like to switch to the perspective, to the debug perspective? So you can start your debug and find something, and you can fix, you can test it again, and when it's done, you can commit using the right format in the code. So this is so for this example, I will not show you a lot of code. I will fix another bug, which is more simple about version number in E4 tools. I wanted to show you also, no, not this one. So this is the slides. Oh yes, something that can be interesting because I searched for it for a while today. This page is important also. If you want to, it's the page used to fix the target platform. If you need to use the latest version of Eclipse that has been built, that has been nightly built, you will find on this page, on the downloadeclipse.org page, you find all the version and the stable builds and integration build. So if you are working on a very new bug, sometimes it can be interesting to download this version and to set it as a target platform rather than using the running platform in your Eclipse. Okay, so for this bug, this is a simple bug where we have to, I propose to change the version of the E4 tools for Neon because it's still in version 0.17 for maybe 2 years. And I think it's confusing for people. So to do this, so I will stop the other Eclipse, so that's okay. So actually, to do this, the spies, so that's another very strange name, but this is history. The spies is in the E4 Tools project, because E4 Tools project contained 2 years ago. It contained a lot of different projects about E4, and from Mars version, it contains only the spies. So we didn't rename the project, but the spy stuff is in the E4 Tools project. So I just uploaded in my Eclipse the 2 projects, import from Git. I need to fix 2 files. The version is defined in the feature XML file. So I can change this one. In the POM file, I must change this one. And in the update site project, which is used for the build, there is also the version and a reference to the parent version. So I made this change this morning in the stash commit. I will do it directly, that will be better. Okay, so I think it's deployed directly or not. So this commit, so this is only the files I must change. I don't remember how you, yes, I must click here, I think. Yes, apply stage changes. So the stash commit is just a list of changes that you must do on your code. And as you can see, my files have changed here. So I can commit this for the moment. I can go to my staging view. So this view is here. Oh, okay. So this is my files that have changed. I can commit, and I must, this is written in the use cases I showed you before. I must copy the text of the bug, because it will be reflected in the release notes and in the history of the project. So just do this here. And you must not forget to, I will open it. You must not forget to put your sign-off name when you commit. So if I do that, and if I've got some network, oh, that's changed, yes. I do it again. So it will ask me to, okay, I've got a problem of configuration. Anyway, that will push the file. I don't have time to fix that, but that will push it on the Gerrit repository, and I will get two information. First of all, in the bug, I will get a link to the Gerrit review. So that will be just a link. You click on it, and I will get a review like this. It's not this one, but anyway. The review is a life cycle of the commit. So I will get automatically not on check. So my code will be compiled, and it will check if it's okay. And if it's okay, a committer can review the bug and review the commit, and it will be merged in the master branch. So just to, yes, 2 minutes, okay. To summarize, yes, that's time to do that. So the title of this talk is "Have fun and be recognized by your company if you contribute to open source project and namely to Eclipse." Why? Because actually you will use a very powerful tooling. Of course, there are sometimes it's difficult to find a project. Okay, but that's actually not very difficult to commit something and to propose a patch to Eclipse. You don't need to be a committer because your commit will be managed by Garrett, and the committer will fix it, will merge it for you. It can check what are the changes. Of course, there is a lot of information about the difference between the files. Everything is, when it's installed, it's very cool to fix bugs. It's not very difficult. You will learn also, I would say, efficient tooling that you could use in your company, because maybe who is using Git here? A lot of people, I hope, yes, but I'm sure that some of you still use SVN or CVS. I know that because I have a lot of customers who are using SVN, for instance. So you will be confident with Git, with Garrett, with the continuous integration system. This is a very good example of what you could do in your software factory, in internal software factories. So I see that it is changing in companies, but this is a good approach to have, and it gives you a lot of information about this. A lot of, I would say, it's fun to fix bugs with this. That's easy. So I don't know if you have any question. Yes? How to find a project? Yes?
No, actually I have a basic question, like how does it work, because you clone the project,
Yeah.
and then when you launch the configuration, you have your project that you are fixing, and then you also have the project, the real project of Eclipse that is already packaged within Eclipse configuration. So how does it not?
Because the workspace project will be, it has priority on the target platform if it has the same name and the same version. Yeah, that would be. If you are not sure, you can remove it in the launch configuration. You can remove the plugin if you are not sure, but it's okay. You don't have to do that. Yes.
So by default, when you launch, everything in your workspace takes precedence, but you can go in and very carefully, very specifically tune what you want in your launch. You can do some fairly cool things, right? You've got Eclipse debugging Eclipse. You can actually make Eclipse debug itself. It's some very strange configurations, but depending on what you need to do. Actually, I was working on a debugger at one point, so I had Eclipse debugging itself, like multiple chains of Eclipse debugging Eclipse.
Okay, maybe, oh, now it works. I don't know why. Okay, so if you go on this bug now, you have the Gerrit review. I don't know why it didn't work before. Yes?
So how do you know if there are unit tests or if unit tests are needed or UI tests?
So I will let Wayne answer to this question.
So actually, in fact, that's a piece we completely skipped over. If you look in the same repository that contains the code that Olivier was playing with, there are actually a collection of unit tests. Yeah, most projects do have JUnit unit tests that run. There's a whole infrastructure for running tests within Eclipse, so it'll actually, you can write tests that will launch Eclipse, run the tests inside the Eclipse environment. Yeah, so we really didn't even talk about that. That's certainly something that the different individual project contribution guides will do. Also, when Olivier submitted that patch to Garrett,
So it works, actually.
Garrett picks it up and runs it in Hudson, and Hudson will run all the tests.
And there is a problem with Hudson, so that's a good example, because I didn't change the version in the there was another PowerPoint file, and I didn't change the version, so I saw that this morning. Anyway, so that's a good example. Hudson will fail, and it's not possible to commit this in the master branch. So that's very cool. So I must have to make a patch on this one after, so to test it again. So yeah, that's a good example. We fix bug, but we create a
We're
worse.
wrap up. We're done.
Yeah.
We're out of time.
So that's it. So thank you to evaluate this session also on the website. Don't forget to do that. This is important. If you have remarks or something that we can do better for the next time, just feel free to fill the form. And if you have any question, we are here for 2 days or 3 days.
Yeah, Olivier actually has a booth in the exhibit hall.
Yeah,
you can
also.
go find him there.
But I think
chances are
you have
I'm
seen
not
me.
too far away either. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. If you want to work on something together, let's do it. It'd be awesome.
Okay.